All right, next up is from Dovid Neison. Greetings and salutations, Mr. Campea. I think one of the more underrated films of the last few years was Ben Affleck's The Accountant. That movie had a great story, wicked action, and was totally left open for a sequel. Today, I read Affleck saying that they're still making one, but they've been talking about it for a long time. Do you think they'll actually make An Accountant too?
I tell you what, David, I freaking love The Accountant. I love that movie unabashedly and unapologetically. I thought that movie was fantastic. It was exciting. It was funny. I love the characters. The whole thing with John Bernthal and then the reveal of him in it and all that kind of stuff. I thought this movie worked on every level. This movie only made $155 million. Movie only made $155 million worldwide. That is a tragedy because this movie's great. I love this movie. Now, fortunately, the movie only cost $44 million to make. So even at only $155 million, it actually ended up breaking even and making a little bit. So good on them. But yeah, they've been talking for a long time about doing it. They first started talking about doing another one in 2017. It's been all quiet on that front. And a lot of people started assuming that maybe we're not getting another one. So anyway, Ben Affleck was talking Triple Frontier, and they asked him about that, and he specifically came out and said this. He goes, yeah, I hope so. I would love to. We've talked about kicking some ideas around. This last movie we just did, sorry, he was talking about the new film that was going to be called Torrance. I'm not sure what's going to be called now. The last movie we just did, we talked to the studio, and they seem interested. And they kind of brought it up. So we're looking to do that. I think it would be fun. I love Gavin. That's Gavin O'Connor, who directed The Accountant and directed the new film that Ben Affleck is in right now as well. I love Gavin. I love the movie I just did with him. I had a great experience, and I love the character in The Accountant. I'd certainly be open to it. Now, this is anything but a confirmation that we are absolutely getting An Accountant too. But it does sound like that's something that's in the motion here. What I found most interesting about that comment, Rob, is the fact that he specifically says, we've talked to Warner Brothers. As a matter of fact, they're the ones who brought it up. Like, so if it's the studio that is initiating these conversations, I find that exciting. I have never been at all vague about this. I want another Accountant. I thought the first one was great. I thought the movie ended. It had a great ending that still had a big open door for future movies. Where they could go with his and John Bernthal's character, I think is fascinating. There's so much good about this. I want this badly. Rob, what did you think about The Accountant? Because I don't know that you and I have ever talked about this movie. And what do you think the chances actually are that we might actually get it?
Well, first of all, I'm with you. I love The Accountant, and I really liked Ben Affleck's character, his OCD affliction, and how, to me, I read a lot of novels like this about characters that are sort of on the fringes. They're involved with some kind of criminal enterprise, and I've always been attracted to these kinds of stories. I thought Affleck did. The man does not get enough credit. Like that whole movie really lived and died with him and his ability to play that role. I mean, I loved seeing him like doing estate planning for people, and that couple that has the farmhouse and she's got a home business.
That was awesome. I love that.
I mean, he's like, well, how much of your apartment your house do you use to make your things? And he's winking, nudging, and it's like he's using the system to help these poor people make more money in their lives. I mean, everything about it I loved. The storyline was great. The action was great. And while I'm not saying it was as delicious to watch as, say, John Wick, just because I love watching John Wick shoot dudes in the head,
right.
but I think the character development, and it took its time, and it really was it's an action film, but it was also a fascinating character study, which we don't get enough of. And he was great in it. And I find Ben Affleck more and more interesting as his career goes along, because here he is, talking like an actor, like, well, I hope the studio wants to do one. And yet he's also directed a Best Picture winner. He's really, I mean, talk about a man who by any stretch of the imagination could really be an arrogant prick, but he isn't. You see these interviews with him, and he really cares about his craft. He really loves what he does. And I think the fact that he did a movie like The Accountant proves it. He's willing to work underneath another director, sing that director's praise, take a role like this, work with that director again, man, I would love to see another accountant. And my respect goes up for Ben Affleck every time I hear him talk or do an interview. So good on him.
Yeah, and this new film he's got coming out has got everybody really interested because it was called The Has-Been. Then they changed it to Torrance. And now they're changing the name again. But the basic, it sounds a little close to home. So Gavin O'Connor's directing it with him. And it's about a guy, Ben Affleck, who was a big, I think, a basketball player, and he was a basketball star, and he destroyed his life from substance abuse, and it wrecked his marriage and all that kind of stuff. And now he's going back to try to rebuild his life by going back to his old high school to coach basketball there. It feels a little close to home. I mean, you understand the situation that Ben has been in, but again, I think that speaks to him. I think that it does, that he's willing to confront stuff like that head on, because he could go, man, no, that's too close to home, but he's embracing it. He's doing all that kind of stuff. And everybody knows I've been a massive Ben Affleck fan for a long time. I think he's a fabulous director. I think he's a great performer. He hasn't always been a great actor, but he's evolved over the years a lot. And You're right. He brought something to The Accountant from a pure acting point of view that I don't think he gets enough credit for. So
nope.
Man, I hope they do this. I want to see this get done. And guys, more of you, go watch The Accountant, because none of you guys saw it. Go see it because it's really, really good.
I'll watch it now. I guess the title maybe turned me off for whatever reason, which is totally lame. But I was like, what is this? Like a pissed off, like he's going to go audit people? I didn't know.
It does feel like that, right?
He's an international assassin.
Okay, that's cooler to know. I was like, literally, The Accountant. I was like, with a gun. I'm like, what is he gonna bust into people's homes and audit them? I don't know.
Yeah, but the cool thing about, for those of you who don't know anything about it, it's not OCD. I believe it's Down syndrome. He's got low-level Down syndrome, or what they call high-functioning Down syndrome, and he is a mathematical wizard. And so the basic setup of the movie is they call him the accountant because, yes, he's an accountant, but also, the underworld, the kingpins of the underworld around the world come to him to do their books.
Right.
And he's also the son of a military guy who just can kill anybody. He can kill and kick all sorts of ass. It's great. And then they do this great backstory, a little bit of a mystery with him and his family and his childhood. It's so good. I love this movie. You got to check it out.